Philadelphia 76ers have decided to go with Nick Nurse, former head coach of the Toronto Raptors, and actually the one that led them to the NBA championship, if I'm not mistaken. So, Tim, do you like the hire or do you not like the hire?
From what I've heard about what Nick Nurse is, he is a very defensive-minded coach. He is a disciplinarian, doesn't let the players get away with a lot. Yeah, I like the hire because I think that's what the Sixers need right now. They just seemed like a team that has a bunch of stars, but they were not cohesive. They didn't seem to have any kind of rhythm. And hopefully Nick Nurse will be able to get those guys, back in the gym and really play some solid defense. And that's what I think the Sixers have been lacking. I think if we can now put a fork in this process, I think it's over. Now they just have to they have to get the right players. In place. James Harden, he's going to demand $40-50 million a year, whether they want to keep him or not. That's another story. It's tough to keep a player who's mid to late 30s and you're paying him that much money, who really it was non-existent the last couple of games in the NBA playoffs. Unfortunately, Doc Rivers had to be the scapegoat here. When you take a team as loaded as the Sixers are, 3 straight times getting knocked out before even the conference championship games, they've got to hold somebody accountable. You can't, unfortunately, in this day and age, you don't hold players accountable because of the guaranteed contracts. So the coach and his coaching staff had to go. But I like Nick Nurse. One of the interesting things I was reading about him was he started his coaching career actually in Great Britain. He was a Great Britain. They have a basketball league over there. It can't be much of one, but he was a coach over there, paid his dues. And he's got a history with the general manager from the Sixers, Morey, when they were down in Houston together. So that's another reason why I think Nick Nurse is coming back into the Sixers fold.
All righty, so 76ers pick up a guy that not too long ago just won the NBA title. Eric, quick thoughts on whether or not you think that's good, and also keep in mind of all the candidates that were out there. And Tim wanted Jay Wright. I'm not sure that was ever going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and I think I kind of agree with Tim. I like the hire because I think he took Kawhi Leonard's game and raised it to the next level. And you think about it, Toronto didn't really have a lot of quote unquote marquee players on their team, but he was able to rally them and win an NBA title. I think he's got the opportunity to do this with the 76ers. Now they've got some work to do in the offseason, and Tim touched on James Harden. As far as I'm concerned, let him walk. In his mid to upper 30s for that kind of a contract, I think what they can do is they can take that money and try and find some mid-tier players. You can get 2 or 3 players maybe for the amount of money you're going to pay for one in James Harden. Now, do they need to make a big splash? Yeah, maybe. That'd be nice. But I think you've got to find those mid-tier players, and then you get a coach like Nick Nurse that can kind of put it all together. Let's face it, the Sixers have their work cut out for them because I think the window is closing because you don't know physically how long Joel Embiid can go. I mean, he's got a history of injuries, knee problems, things of that nature. So you've got to make a splash, and you got to do it soon here in the next year or two.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I thought I heard a stat somewhere that the Sixers hadn't made the conference finals since like 2001, which is over 20 years ago. That would have been when Allen Iverson was there. So yeah, that's a bit of a long drought. Yeah, and I could see the frustration and the need to really get things kick-started there.